federal government's run by the Ford Foundation. For 60 years, they've taught in Latin America that the U.S. is evil and must fall, and that socialism is the way to go, to create an anti-Americanism that can be attached to the Democratic Party. Now Obama has implemented the planned implosion of the border that Glenn Spencer at AmericanPatrol.com, American Border Patrol, has predicted year after year after year. You've heard him here, I don't know, at least 12, 13 years. He's been, no longer than that. He's been coming on about 15 years. And he's the first guy to launch drones on the border, even before the government did. He moved from California right there to Arizona. We have an incredible video feed. If you're a listener on the radio, you can go to Infowars.com/show if you're near a computer or have one of your, quote, smartphones, and you can see the HD video. I mean, his Skype is just incredibly clear. And you can see the Mexican border right behind him and the drug cartel smuggling shack for people and drugs. And he has predicted this all along, a collapse of the border, the de facto amnesty causing a giant flood, and then race war being implemented as the next phase to break the country up. He's warned of Mecha, La Raza, all of it, and the Spanish media is promoting this. Most Hispanics that I know are just absolutely against this and are very patriotic Americans. But the Latin Americans and the Mexicans, a large percentage of them, just really believe it. And they've been sold that it's kosher and acceptable. So he joins us now from the border to break down what's happening there now, Glenn Spencer, but also to give us his take on how he predicted this in hundreds of articles, videos, and thousands of interviews, dozens of them here. He's probably been with us over 100 times. Glenn, I tell you, when I first started interviewing you back in like 1999 and stuff, I thought you were out there even for my show. And boy, you know what you're talking about, buddy.
Well, Alex, you're spot on, and your introduction and the Ford Foundation, I think it's even worse than what you said. Thanks for having me on, and hello from the Arizona-Mexico border, and over my right shoulder and to your left, you might be able to see a building down there. That is a warehouse used by the Mexican cartels to store their drugs.
Let's talk a little bit about where you live and what you've seen, and then get your expert take on what this Obama operation is. Our reporters proved 5 weeks ago with DrudgeReport.com that indeed the Border Patrol gets them off the buses, loads them on buses, gives them vouchers, and drops them wherever they want to go inside the interior. Right.
Well, I'm on the Mexican border. I have a ranch. I gave up on California 12 years ago, Alex. Came out here to do the battle right on the front line. I ended up with a ranch, a little over 100 acres right here. My neighbor to the south is Mexico. What you see in back of me is the San Pedro River that flows out of Mexico north to the Gila River, then into the Colorado. And it is a major smuggling corridor. Right now, there are probably people in there carrying drugs. What I have done since I started down here, we started up American Border Patrol, and you're right. We patrol the border. We send video. We were the first to use unmanned aerial vehicles here on the border. We are the reason the U.S. Border Patrol started using them, because we embarrassed them about 10 years ago, 11 years ago. We shamed them into doing it. We've done a lot of things. Of course, you'll never know about us because the mainstream media refuse to report on what we do. If you go on AmericanBorderPatrol.com and you look over to the left, you'll see a little red arrow. If you click on that, people are amazed that what opens up is a map of the Southwest and every one of the Border Patrol sectors. Now, you can click on a sector, and a map will pop up, and you can see a code that shows what's on the border, what kind of fence is down there. Then you'll see little dots, little numbers, and you can click on that, and you can get an actual aerial photograph of what the border fence looks like from Brownsville, Texas, the Gulf of Mexico, all the way out to the Pacific Ocean. This is the best kept secret in America. And people go in and they click on that and their mouths drop open. They say, that's not a fence, you can step right over it. Most of what is down there is just that. Now, my neighbor over here, John Ladd, he has 10 miles of frontage on the Mexican border. They built a fence that is so cheap, you can cut through it in 20 minutes. And I've been, John is a good friend of mine. He has had, in the last 18 months, 42 times they have cut through his fence, driven drugs loads across his ranch, cut fences, his cows are all over the place, and they caught one load. Never caught anybody. So that'll tell you, that's right there, a major drug cartel smuggling operation Americans don't know.
And now in Texas, it's reported today by Fox News, the Border Patrol was fired on by automatic weapons fire, suppressive fire, to get the shipments of illegals across, I guess, to be delivered to the Border Patrol. And the Border Patrol basically had to run and hide. And reportedly, the rules of engagement are just stand down and let the drug cartels attack you. I mean, this is just out of control.
They're sitting ducks in the river there. You know, we just flew down there. I was down in June, and then I went back last week with a local photographer from our newspaper here. I hired him to go with me because we couldn't believe what we saw. I took a GoPro camera and flew along the Rio Grande River in my Cessna 206, hanging out up on the wing. And I got back and I looked at that video and I said, what? First of all, I flew for 40 miles and saw one Border Patrol, a patrol boat. But I got back and I saw all these, there are fences on top of the levee. Now remember, a levee's there to stop the river from running off of its banks and flooding the inland farms and towns. Now, a levee can also be used to stop people from flooding over the banks of the river. And they actually started back in 2007 to build fences on top of those levees. And they spent hundreds of millions of dollars doing that. And I was there. We did an aerial survey, part of our Operation Beef, back in 2009. And you can go on American Border Patrol and look at that map I was telling you about. Look at some of those pictures of the immense, enormous construction projects that they were building up the walls next to the levee, then backfilling them so they could have a fence, and that would stop everybody. Well, I went back with my GoPro camera and I flew along, and here were all these fences, but there were huge gaps in them, and I couldn't figure out what they were. So I took a photographer with a zoom lens and we went back there, and we found out after landing and talking to some Border Patrol agents and getting some ground photographs, there were supposed to be electric gates installed on those fences, but Obama didn't install them. They have every quarter of a mile, there's a hole in the fence 40 feet wide.
And again, let's be clear. Latin America is literally collapsing right now. Our country's going into a depression. Glenn, I want to pull back, though, and talk about the big picture. You predicted that they would just dissolve the border and that it would cause a giant flood years ago. So tell us what's happening currently and what you predict will happen next.
Well, before he was elected, and you can go on my site and you can see my quote, I said, before he was elected the first time, back in 2008, I said Barack Obama is the most dangerous person ever to set foot on the American political stage. His election to presidency would amount to national suicide. And that's because I studied him and I know the subject and I know how close he was to the National Council of La Raza. I know how he was trained by Saul Alinsky and that crowd. And I knew that he was embedded with these people. And I knew what he was going to do before he was elected. Too bad John McCain didn't know it. Now, talk about the current thrust. Back in August of 2012, he passed this Deferred Action for Children of Aliens, DACA. Now, we had a friend that monitors the border traffic down south of Tucson. And they were getting about 10, in this little area, about 10 actions per day. After August 15th, 2012, it jumped to over 100 per day. And that was a direct result of this DACA action. And even the next year, a senator, a Mexican female senator, came out and said, we're having people rush for the border because of this new policy. And Senator Cruz was on Fox News Sunday yesterday, and he pointed out, he said, this has nothing to do with the 2008 law signed by Bush. This has everything to do with that DACA announcement and the word that he spread around the world, south of the border.
Sure, and it turns out there's the deal with Guatemala and Mexico to have Mexico open up its border, something it's never done before. And so I guess the big plan is to get so many tens of millions of new people up here, they just end the border completely, North American Union. No question about it. That is the plan. And there are other detailed things where he has passed regulations and issued orders that the Border Patrol is not to touch anyone who happens to have a child who is an illegal alien in their custody, even though they're illegal. So he has passed a multitude of presidential orders that essentially dissolve our border. And it allows the exploitation of children. No one knows who they are. I mean, this is such a crime on so many fronts. It's incredible. This is True Lawlessness. Glenn Spencer, AmericanBorderPatrol.com, the best site out there. The incredible intel, the research, the clips he's got of all the racist stuff Mecha and La Raza say. It's incredible. And it's, boy, I tell you, we're going to come back and see what other intel he's got for us on the other side. This is Alex Jones for InfoWarsLife.com. The latest in preparedness is now here. An electrically stabilized colloidal silver solution that can be added to both your home cabinet and preparedness pack alike. Concentrated to 30 parts per million in what has been dubbed the survival silver solution. The new InfoWars Life Silver Bullet Colloidal Silver is the answer for you and your family. And it's entirely free of toxic artificial additives that are loaded into many products. The InfoWars Life Silver Bullet Silver is so powerful that it is concentrated into a 2-ounce bottle and is not recommended for extended continual use. This is not a low-grade formula. We are working with one of the top laboratory manufacturers in the United States to bring you the best form of colloidal silver using electrical processes within a base of deionized water for your preparedness storage or your home kitchen. Purchase your bottle of InfoWarsLife.com Silver Bullet Colloidal Silver today and find other amazing supplements at InfoWarsLife.com. The TSA's got to check your baby's diaper for a bomb, but the illegal aliens get to walk right through without any papers. Because we have a lawless, out-of-control government. And my show's gone from being radical now to almost passé because everything we've talked about is coming true, unfortunately. But the good news is there is a massive wake-up happening. Glenn, I want to get you back on for a full hour in the next few weeks now that you've got great internet there. Your Skype is incredible. And I'd love to send out Staff Sergeant retired Joe Biggs, because he's got the courage to do what you do, go right down on the border in the next few weeks, if you can give him a tour down there, as I know you've given a lot of other media. But in the 6 minutes we've got left, you've got the floor to tell us what's coming next, how we can stop this, where we're going from here. Because if we thought that the earlier flood was bad, I'm predicting the next flood's going to be even bigger, and then Obama will use the crisis to federalize the Southwest.
All right, Alex, a lot of people complain about the problem and report on the problem, but what we've been focusing on are solutions. Whether it was our unmanned aerial vehicle, our special cameras, our survey, but we have come up with a solution. We have the solution to this system. We call it the sonic barrier, or Identisize. And we invented this. Patent is pending, should be issued shortly. We have a system that can be buried in the ground, solar powered, cannot be seen, that will count everybody who crosses the border and alert where they are and how many. It will detect ultralight aircraft. It is the cheapest thing going. We have developed it. I actually had to set up a private company because we had to patent it. And
I remember you've been working on this, what, 5-6 years?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I've been working on the idea for 12 years. I ran a seismic oil exploration company in Montana, financed it, started it up, ran it successfully for Arco, Chevron, and Texaco, and it is an application of oil exploration seismic technology. You can go on bordertechnology.com and look at that video. It'll blow your mind. But the media will not tell you. We have a solution to the border. We can detect and identify everybody who crosses the border from San Diego to Brownsville at a fraction of the cost of what they're using today. We can do it. And I hope your guy comes down and visits us, and we'll show him demonstrations. I'll fly the ultralight aircraft over the system, and an alarm will go
Oh, yeah.
off.
Listen, you tell us when we get off the phone here or the video in a minute, and we will come, and we will definitely come next week. I'll send Joe Biggs and one of our camera people there next week for a couple days. You can give us all the tour. We'll do live feeds from there with you. But I remember you telling me about this 6-7 years ago, and all the military people you've got on your board. Isn't this based on military-type technology?
No, it's
oil company, but yeah.
Let me say this. One of the big 5 DOD contractors has been working on this with us for 18 months. They say it's the best thing they've ever seen, but they're frightened. They actually recommended that the U.S. Border Patrol use this technology down in Texas, and after they recommended it, they stopped talking to us. Now, you have to understand, this is the best damn system anybody's ever thought of. I can prove it to your guy who comes down. I can show him all the private documents.
I know, because I know the military special ops and people use seismic stuff to track.
I got an email from Aramco, Saudi Aramco, asking us to bring this system over there. Now, this is the best, but you won't see it anywhere because it is so good that the government is frightened to death of it.
No, I understand. I mean, seismic is one of the most accurate gauges out there, and they can pick up, they know the human pattern, the computer knows the fingerprint, and they'll know how many people, where they're at, and just boom, right there.
Yeah, but see, this is a patented approach. We can detect one person walking 600 feet away.
Wow.
The Border Patrol uses seismic sensors. They use 1 per sensor. We use 12. 240-foot wide ear. We use a powerful algorithm, stuff that nobody's ever thought of before. We can detect ultralight. Every time, our government cannot detect ultralights. They're coming over maybe 150, 200 a year just in Arizona. They can't detect them. They know we can detect them.
Well, look at how Barrett got made in a guy's garage. It's inventors and scientists like you. Glenn Spencer, you really are amazing. I mean, there you were making all that money at an oil company, and then you decided to fight for national sovereignty. What was that, like 15 years ago, 20 years ago?
Alex, I found out how to make a small fortune on the border. Start with a large one.
Hey, listen, I'm going to get Rob Dew to call you in a few minutes. I want to set up sending our guy there next week, and we'll have you on with our crew. Glenn Spencer, thank you so much. AmericanBorderPatrol.com.
Thanks a lot.
Alex Jones here to break down some exciting developments in the area of research concerning supplemental iodine. It's nothing less than phenomenal. I began to get into iodine a few years ago because it was helping me and my family so much get healthy and detoxify. And I used some of the mainline iodine supplements, and they upset my stomach, and I had some issues with it. Until I discovered a product being developed by Dr. Group, who I was already interviewing as an expert on my radio show, and I began taking the product before he actually rolled it out. You now know it as Survival Shield, true nascent iodine that your body can really absorb. Then, about a year ago, he said, listen, if you think this is powerful, I'm going to come out with rare earth, deep earth crystals that are incredibly powerful that no one else has as a source for their iodine from between 7,000 and 12,000 feet, literally drilled out of the ground. You put it on a hot plate and it turns into the pure gas. No one else has 99.99% pure iodine. And the results that I personally have had have been life-changing. I was over 270 pounds. And with the iodine, exercise, and better diet, I have lost now more than 50 pounds total, and I'm continuing to lose the weight. I have more energy, my libido, all this crap came out of my skin. I believe our research is conclusive. This is the best iodine out there. And I know this for a fact. Nobody else has got iodine based on these pure crystals, ladies and gentlemen. This is innovating. This is trailblazing. And the best part is it helps fund Infowars.com, the radio show, the TV show, the whole media operation promoting true libertarian ideas. For a limited time, experience the ancient power of Survival Shield X2. Take advantage of this unprecedented 30% off Super Detox special at InfoWarsLife.com.